Well, I got a special request to read a recipe so that she could read it again. So I'm just going to read the whole article. This is a beautiful picture. Taste of a Provençal summer in the classic French Tian peak season produce shines with a simple, slow roasted treatment. Article written by Audrey Le Goff in the Life and Leisure section of the Epoch Times. So, a Tian embodies, it's a little early, the essence of Provençal summer cooking, made with layered slices of tomato, zucchini, and eggplant. That's what we got in the garden. Slow roasted with olive oil and herbs until melting tender. The iconic dish is simply but stunning and a celebration of abundance of summer vegetables in this sun-drenched region of France. And it's going to be at the Ranch Ross soon. So, the iconic dish is simple but stunning and a celebration of the abundance of summer vegetables in the sun-drenched region of France. A little bit of a duplicate there. But the word Tian comes from the Greek teganon, spelled Teganon, and Tian, Tian, meaning a dish or a frying pan. Originally, the word referred to glazed earthenware vessels from Provence, used for both cooking and serving. I'm getting my French back on here, you see. Provence, Tian, Tagon. These types of dishes are usually large, shallow, and sturdy, made to withstand high temperatures. The dish was initially used to bake any type of food. Back when homes didn't have individual ovens, families would bring their tian to their local bakery to cook in the residual heat of the ovens. After the day's breads were baked, over time the dishes became more popular for baking layers of Provençal vegetables, tomatoes, zucchini, and eggplant, and eventually gave their name to the specific culinary preparation. Can you imagine today having to take your food to an oven? We take our ovens seriously for granted, I guess. I never even thought of it. Anyway, on to the recipe. There's pictures of tomatoes and zucchinis and onions and eggplants. Everyone knows what those should be like. So, a taste of a Provençal summer. I feel like I'm pronouncing that right. Summer. No, Provençal. So, in the classic French Tian, peak season produces shines with a simple, slow roasted treatment. In addition to summer vegetables and a classic Tian, also often features staple herbs from Provence, including sprigs of thyme, rosemary, or the famous herbs de Provence, a mix of savory, marjoram, rosemary, thyme, and oregano. And just a little check here so you know this is not a computer bot reading. I skipped the continued from page D1 section of this recipe. So just to be clear, this is not a bot registered to record the recipe. So, you're getting the real deal here, okay? And I'm getting hungry just reading this recipe. So, I don't think you get that in a bot. So, Tian versus ratatouille. Oh. So, outside of the French borders, there tends to be some confusion over Tian and ratatouille, both stellar classics of the southern French cooking repertoire. This confusion was possibly heightened by Pixar's 2007 film Ratatouille, in which the main character, Remy, cooks up a ratatouille that is actually a Tian. Yeah, that would mess with you. So, ratatouille also is a Provençal specialty made with tomatoes, zucchini, and eggplants, among other ingredients, but it calls for the vegetables to be cubed and gently simmered together on the stovetop, creating a soft and spoonable stew. A Tian, meanwhile, involves slicing of the vegetables layered in a dish and baked in the oven until tender underneath and lightly charred and crisp on the top. It's that wet spot. Oh, sorry, I'm just drooling here. Variations on a Tian. It should also be noted that there isn't just one recipe for this, for a Tian, but several variations of it. I can see this becoming a variation thing for sure. So the classic summer vegetable version is the most popular, but you'll also find recipes made with asparagus in the spring, Swiss chard, and mushrooms in the fall, and cabbage, winter squash, or potato in the winter, just to give a few examples. I think this recipe could actually double in the Fungi Fun recipe section that maybe we'll do someday. Not to mention we could add beef and chicken and all kinds of good stuff to this. Anyway, so don't attempt to rush this process for fear of an undercooked or dry result. No fear. Some might be garnished with fish, often from the Mediterranean, such as anchovies, cod, or mullet, or made with delicate meats, such as lamb or veal. It can be a dessert, swapping summer vegetables for layers of figs, peaches, or apricots. Now, the tips for success is frankly, you just cut it up in slices and layer it, and then take it to your local bakery and have it cooked in the heat from their stoves at the end of the day. No, seriously. Tips for success. Perhaps in part because it's too often compared to or confused with ratatouille stew, the classic Tian has a reputation for being dry. That's what movies do to you, right? They just dry you out. Here are a few tips to prevent that from happening. Lay the vegetables on a moist component. A bed of partially cooked onions at the bottom of the dish brings extra moisture to help soften the vegetable slices layered on top. Be generous with the olive oil. Before transferring the Tian to the oven, drizzle about a quarter cup of extra virgin olive oil over the vegetables to help tenderize them. This will also create a nice crisp edge at the end of the baking time. Bake it low and slow. Low and slow. The goal of baking the Tian is to eventually to confit the vegetables, meaning that they should slowly cook in their own juices. So confit, slowly cooking in their own juices at a lower temperature and for a long period of time until perfectly tender. Don't attempt to rush this process for fear an undercooked or dry result. Could happen if you overcook it quickly. So, create steam in the oven in addition to a slow and slow baking process. It helps to place a ramekin or other small oven-safe dish. I don't know what that is. Filled with water in the oven, so I guess a dish with oven. Next to your Tian dish, the water will evaporate slowly and create steam. In the oven. To prevent the vegetables from drying out. So, anyway, a little credit. This Audrey Lagouf is a French food writer, photographer, and creator of the food blog pardonyourfrench.com, where she shares recipes and stories from her beloved home country, France. She's the author of the cookbook Rustic French Cooking Made Easy. She currently lives in Niagara, Ontario, Canada. Hey, she gave me a book idea. Rustic Red, Cooking on the Farm, How to Process Your Chicken and Work Alongside your beautiful gardens. Okay, so with every recipe, there's a little bit more than just the history of the recipe. There's actual recipe. So, first, gather your ingredients. Slice the onions and briefly bake them. Slice the vegetables about the same size. Arrange the tomato, zucchini, and eggplant slices on top of the onions in firmly packed rows. Baked until the vegetables are fully cooked with wrinkled tops. Now, if you're going to do this with a chicken, this is where you insert, go find a chicken, cut the head off, scald it, and decide what parts of the chicken you're going to put on your Tian. Anyway, I digress. Summer vegetable Tian. When picking out your vegetables, try to choose ones that are about the same diameter. It will make it easier to assemble the layers and create even more even rows. However, if some vegetables are smaller, you can adjust by using 2 or 3 slices at a time instead of 1. Another key is a well executed Tian is to pack the slices as tightly as possible, as they will shrink while baking. This fan is a perfect combination to roast, the Tian is a perfect combination to roast chicken, grilled meat, or fish. Other things, it serves 6 to 8, so 3 to 4 garlic cloves, a large onion, quarter cup plus 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 5 to 8 medium ripe tomatoes, 3 medium zucchini, 1 large or 2 medium eggplants, 4 to 5 sprigs fresh thyme, salt and pepper to taste. Preheat that oven to 320 degrees Fahrenheit with a rack in the middle. Have one of the garlic cloves and rub the inside with an 8 by 11 inch baking dish, earthenware, ceramic or plexiglass, with the cuff side of one of the halves. Peel the onion and slice it into half rounds. Add to the baking dish along with 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil and toss to coat. Bake for 10 minutes until the onions are translucent and slightly fragrant. Meanwhile, mince all the garlic, including the half cloves. Slice the tomato, zucchini, and eggplant into quarter-inch slices. Remove the dish from the oven and transfer onto a cooling rack or heat-proof surface. Arrange the tomato, zucchini, and eggplant slices on top of the onions, standing upright in several rows of tightly packed alternating layers. When finished, season with salt and pepper to taste. Sprinkle with minced garlic, making sure most of it falls between the slices of vegetables. Drizzle with the remaining quarter cup of olive oil and garnish with thyme sprigs. Cover the dish with foil. Seal the edges and poke out a tiny hole in the middle for steam to escape. Fill a small oven-safe bowl or ramekin with water. Place both the Tian dish and the water-filled vessel in the oven. Bake for 1 hour. Then remove the foil from the dish and bake for an additional 30 to 40 minutes until fully cooked and the tops of the vegetables are wrinkled. Optionally, finish with 1 to 2 minutes under the broiler for crisp charred edges. Remove from the oven and let cool for at least 35 minutes before serving. Breathe. Have a cup of coffee. Anyway, enjoy the recipe. I'm looking forward to having this sometime this week and then maybe in the future. Anyway, thanks for tuning in.